what's happening? Thanks for joining me. It is another episode of Generator Live, and it's just me talking this week. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Let's zoom out. Let's get rid of the logo and just talk a little bit. So we experienced our first snow here in Maine this week. Past couple of days have been brutally cold, a little bit of snow on the ground. So if you're in a snowy place like me and just saying it's way too soon, just know that you're not alone because it's been miserable here. All right. A couple of other things before I get to my main topic. I'm just going off of some of the notes that I had. I was like, maybe I'll talk about this. Maybe I'll talk about that. But I just happened to get this thing through my email talking about the fact that Apple TV is now entering the streaming world more so than they were before, I guess. And the big rebrand goes from calling it from Apple TV Plus to Apple TV. They just dropped the plus. That's it. It's big news. My guess is that there'll be, a little bit more detail there, but for the most part, who gives a shit? Not me. I'm not paying for it. All right. Speaking of not paying for it, what I am paying for is just my ADHD and things going off the rails. Things have not been going as planned. I don't know if you ever have these days where you start off, you have this great to-do list, and then it just falls apart within about 5 seconds of actually doing anything, and you get distracted and your ADHD takes over, and now you're knee deep in other tasks that you had no plans on. For me, for example, it was a little bit cold in the house, so I turned on the heat, and then I had some of my baseboards that weren't getting the heat, so I had to bleed those and get the heat flowing there, and then that caused something else, and that caused something else, and then I was distracted, and next thing I knew it was noon, and I had accomplished nothing by that point. That being said, I did have some incredible conversations today. And I'll tell you about that in a second. But speaking of incredible conversations, one of the things that's going on in the photo world that I don't know if you're signed up for it, and I don't have a link here yet, but Nikki Closser, great photographer, has the Portrait System podcast. She is doing the Reflect Summit, which is a photography summit. She's got, I think, 18 or so speakers, and it's one of these virtual summits that you can sign up for free. It's completely free. All you need to do is go to, I think it's nikkiclosser.com and sign up there. Find the Portrait System, find Nikki Closser, and you'll find the links for the Reflect Summit. I'm going to be going and watching as many of my friends as possible. So I know that Peter Hurley is going to be one of the presenters, Sue Bryce, Nikki Closser, Andre Brown, Kat Ford Coates, Jessica Malone. There's a ton. Pratik Naik, Roberto Valenzuela, right? All these people that I kind of sit in their orbits a little bit, and I'm fortunate to call them friends. I'm going to try to support them as much as I can, so I'll be online tomorrow if you happen to be doing any of that. And then I did have a conversation today with a great organization. I've been following them, since 2020, maybe 2019, but I know it was definitely during COVID. A company run by Brian Harris called Growth Tools. So I was introduced to them through Liz Wilcox, who runs the Email Marketing Academy, and through Liz got hooked up with Growth Tools. Had a great conversation with them today talking about how you can use other people's audiences to grow your own. Really interesting concept. I'm not 100% sold on it yet, but I'm really, really close. They make a lot of convincing arguments for doing things in a way that we don't normally see them done, right? Normally, you create a piece of content and then you put up your lead magnets or whatever you want to do and hope for the best, right? Maybe you're trying to sell a course, maybe you're trying to get some downloads, whatever it is, but you're always kind of starting from zero. And with this process, which they call borrowing other people's audiences, BOPA, what you can do is, sorry, I was just looking down, thought something fell over. What you can do is interact, build partnerships with other creators, other providers, other services, and basically trade audiences because they've got audiences that they need content for, and you have the same. So why not reach out, network, and build those relationships so that you can use each other's audiences to not only attract people to whatever it is you're creating, but also then give them the high ticket offer, right? So there's the ability to get in front of people you wouldn't normally get in front of and sell them services that you have, right? And by doing so, you're not just cannibalizing your list all the time. You're able to introduce yourself to other communities that your service might be valuable, right? So maybe you are a live stream, maybe you're a photographer, maybe you're a videographer, or someone that sells software as a service. Doesn't matter. Chances are you're constantly selling to the same circles of people. And unless you're expanding that network really, really wide, you're probably not going to be getting the results that you want. So, like I said, I'm not pitching for them. I just said it was a conversation that we had today. It was really, really interesting. And yeah, Paul nails it. He nailed it right here. He said the network equals net worth. And I agree with that 100%. I'm going to put some comments down here. Let's do that. Network equals the net worth. And that's 1,000% it. The more that you can do outside of your general network, the better off things are going to be for you. So I'm looking into that because I've definitely felt frustrated trying to create a lot of digital products, thinking about how I'm going to launch my book, wanting to capture the widest audiences possible. So you'll see me doing more of this. And speaking of this, those of you that follow Generator and listen to the podcast every week know that I've put together, 60 some odd episodes with some of the greatest photographers and creators that I know that are in the world, right? Now, what I don't do in that a lot is create my own content with my own thoughts and my own things. So while Generator itself, the conversations that I have are real and raw and unfiltered, and I love having those conversations because they need to happen. One thing that I don't do well is bring you a little bit more behind the scenes like this, right? Giving you a better insight to what it is that I do here. What goes on in the brain, what I think about the current state of the photography business, about what I'm doing to pivot given the market forces over the next 5 or 6 years, and then give you guys as much education as I can for free. I don't like having everybody's hands in my pocket. Right? Everywhere you go, someone's trying to sell you something. And I know I just finished my conversation about selling to different audiences. Like, don't get me wrong, we all have businesses. But what I don't like doing is signing up for webinars or buying a course or downloading something and being led on and not really getting what I was expecting. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I want what I provide to you all to be exactly what you're expecting. Raw, honest truth, vulnerability, maybe things that go against the grain a little bit, not to cause controversy, but just because tradition doesn't always work. There are new ways of doing things. And I want to take you along on that journey with me. For example, it's hard to say this, but I'm probably going to transition out of photography. I'm probably going to close down the studio in the next couple of months, mainly because 1, finances, 2, my location, 3, I'm loving this space way more than what I'm doing as a business with Stone Tree. It's not to say that Stone Tree is bad or I'm done with it or like, photography. I love photography, and I will always love photography. But the universe over the past year has been kicking me in the balls to give me signs to do something different, something that feels more aligned to me, right? I got into photography because I wanted to be able to use my creativity to help people see better versions of themselves. And what I mean is taking off the masks and just being themselves, really them. Because kind of like this says, you're enough. I want people to believe in themselves instead of believing in the idealized version that they think other people want to see. That's it. The stories that people have that you find out about in portraiture are unlike any other stories that you're going to hear. When you're able to center a business around connection, like I have, you get to deeper levels with your clients. You're able to really understand their needs and wants. And I explained a lot of this in today's podcast, the one that's out today. I think it's episode 66, where I talk about using brain science to take better portraits and some of the things that happen in your brain as a photographer when you're trying to create portraits. And understanding myself in the ways that I do, I know that I'm kind of in this spiral towards something else. Oh, Paul, yeah, exactly. So sometimes you need to cut it all down to come back stronger. And that's a really smart point from Paul. And so I don't necessarily know how this pivot is going to go. I just know I'm being pulled in other directions that are less and less dependent on photography itself. For years, I've been running a business that has done very, very well, considering where I am. I've done 6 figures for, I'd say, 5 out of the 7 years that I've had StoneTree. This year is not one of them. This year has been the most difficult year that I've ever faced in business, being an entrepreneur. So I started that back in 2012, 2013. Depending on which story you hear me telling, all those timelines kind of interlap between 2012, 2013, losing my job in corporate, discovering photography, building Firelance Media, getting bored with that, building out StoneTree Creative, building out Cyanide Bunker, building out all of these different services and businesses. It takes a toll, but I've done really well with it. I don't regret a second. But there comes a time where things just change. And so I'm not sitting here saying StoneTree's going away tomorrow. It's not. But there will be this gradual transition from StoneTree more towards Generator and live stream production, video, content creation, all of that. It takes the same skills to do what I'm doing here, but I love this more. And there's a couple of factors that play into it that I figured if I explain them a little bit more, it doesn't sound so much like, oh yeah, no, he's just kind of quitting. I live in a really small town, right? And I kind of fight against that a lot. I live in a town of 700 people, thereabouts 800 people. That's it. The town that my studio is in, Bethel, Maine, has about a 1,500, 2,500 year-round residents. We're a little ski town. That's all we are. So the clientele in my area, they're not necessarily my customers. I have a lot of great local customers, but it's difficult to sell high-end luxury items in a small place for an extended period of time. You basically hit a saturation point. So while I do have amazing clients that come to me from all over Maine, all over New England, all over the country, people have flown in from Oregon and Chicago and Florida, that has slowed down quite a bit. And there's a lot of forces to it, right? The economy, my own interest and drive to market more. The barriers to entry to photography have become so low that in a small area like this, there's a lot of photographers. I don't feel like they're competition, but it adds a lot of digital noise. So how do you rise above that? Well, you market more and you do more and you sell the services more. But in a small area where it's not a major metro, where you have a larger population of even 10, 15, 25,000 people, the area becomes a little bit saturated. So that's one issue. The second issue being, this is where my heart is. I've been doing this kind of thing since 1999. I was using real audio servers in the basement. If any of you remember when I was a DJ going by the name Deep Shine back in Boston in the mid to late 90s, that's when I started this streaming, podcasting, doing stuff from a home studio and connecting with broader audiences. My heart's always been there. And quite frankly, there's only so long, there's a shelf life in photography for active working photographers. Meaning, I'm 52 years old. My knees hurt, man. My back hurts when I get done with a shoot. I'm energized. I love what I do, but the body can only handle so much. And I'm a studio photographer. I'm not even one of these folks running all over weddings and events. I don't do that stuff. So I understand that age does have something to do with it. Not an excuse. There's plenty of people that are older than me, they're wildly successful and are still going at it. I have no problem with that. For me and my needs, I'm not feeling like it's fulfilling me the way that it used to. So as I do more of this, as I bring you more content, as I talk to you a little bit more, you'll just gradually notice this shift from photography to the next phase, which for me is drawing from all that experience in business, in creativity, and then just translating it to this medium. As a single content creator with no team, it's just me, I need to maintain a little bit of sanity. I need to be able to slim things down so that I can be in better control of my time, of my energy, and bring you guys way better content than just sporadically throwing something out there every couple of weeks or every couple of months. So one of the challenges that you face when you're trying to do that a lot is just time and energy. As I get older, I know that I can speak, I can continue to interact, I can continue to network, I can continue to build an audience, draw from experience, have great conversations, do all this stuff. And I don't necessarily need to own a studio to do that. So things are going to change. Again, not shutting anything down this month or next month or probably even after the new year, but that time is coming. I feel it. I know it. I'm one of these people that is constantly looking for what's next. And about every 7 or 8 years, this happens, right? I came out of college and I was a teacher. And then I was a bar manager and a bouncer for a couple of years at the same time that I got into biotech, which led into high tech, which led into a corporate career, which led into photography. So I've done a bunch of things, but I can walk the decades back and say about every 6 or 7 years, I just get this itch to do something else. I've mastered this. What's next? I want that challenge. I always stay in the student mindset. How can I bring that mindset to whatever's next? I want to learn. Things are changing faster now than I've ever seen them. And being an army of one and being able to produce things for myself with no oversight, and sometimes I should have oversight, I suppose. But as I do everything myself, I realize that part of my personality is that change and navigating that change because it's exciting and it makes me feel good. But as things like tools, the landscape of photography is changing, the landscape of creativity is changing. And I took way too long to get on this train at a consistent pace. I regret not keeping up with it for the past 25 years. But we're at where we're at. And so I can start today, like I have been for the past 2 years. But this is a long-term game. I see this becoming my long-term job, right? Either working for myself, working for somebody else, consulting, mentoring, teaching, right? That's all part of the plan. Learning this stuff is not complicated. It takes a little bit of energy, takes a bit of money, and it takes the willingness to keep showing up no matter what. So here I am showing up. Just opening the kimono and saying, here we go, take a look at everything. So I say all that to say I was having a conversation today with a dear, dear friend of mine named Judith. And we meet every couple of weeks and just, kind of have a great conversation. She's down in Nashville. So we're talking today about these types of pivots. And Judith is in a very kind of similar place to me in terms of wanting to get more video out and create more content and doing it herself. And there was a little bit of fear that I heard in her voice that I wanted to jump on because it's a common thing that I myself have said, and I hear a lot of creators saying, which is, I've got this thing that I want to teach, but there's so many people out there already teaching it. Or, what's the industry missing? What does it need? Right? Because we're always trying to fill in gaps. I know for me, that's one of my strengths. I can spot a gap from a mile away and be like, I'm going to fill that little niche. Right? It's how I got into firearms photography. It's how I built a studio in a place that never had a photo studio. And I can notice these market gaps really clearly. So when Judith asked me that question, what's the photography industry missing? And I thought about the question for a second. And I looked her dead in the eye. I said, what's missing is you. And this goes for everybody out there. If you think that you don't have the content, or you think you need to follow someone else's playbook, or you think that your content isn't going to get any views because someone else is doing it, you're just wrong. Because in this infinite universe of ours, there's plenty of people. The only thing missing from the industry or whatever industry you're in is you and your voice. That's all that's missing, right? So why not just get out there and do it? It's not that easy. I understand. But you've got to get out of the mindset that what you have is either boring or doesn't matter or someone else is doing it, so it's repetitive or regurgitated. As long as you're coming at whatever it is that you want to talk about in an authentic, honest, vulnerable way, then that voice is going to find the right people. Vanity numbers and the ways that we think about success online, whether it's social media, whether it's streaming, whatever it is, newsletter followers, we think in terms of these numbers because we believe that more numbers are better. And this is something that my generation, Gen X, maybe the elder millennials, that's the way that we think. Younger generations, who are more in control of the media than you could possibly imagine, they don't give a shit about vanity metrics. They're just out there doing it, putting content out because they know the power of consistency and just showing up. Plus, they've kind of grown up with it. So it's not as difficult to get started. Then you have people that are my age that are just kind of like, well, the kids are out of the house, or I've got free time, or I just lost my job. What am I going to do? Let me make $1 million on YouTube. It's not necessarily how it goes. It might work out for you. I have no idea what you might be thinking, but generally speaking, it's a longer term play. As more and more people get into the market, it's a longer term play. However, more and more people are watching YouTube on their televisions, right? Doc Rock talks about this all the time, about how people are now watching more YouTube on their television than they are watching any of the other cable programs. And with subscriptions for Hulu and HBO or Max or HBO Max or whatever they're calling it today, or Apple TV or Disney or Tubi or whatever, they're all raising their prices. Netflix, Prime, right? All of those prices are going up to the point where it's like, it doesn't even make a difference to have a cable subscription or to have 97 other video provider subscriptions out there. So I've been in the process of canceling everything, using YouTube Premium, which is dope, by the way. Get rid of those commercials, get rid of all the interruptions, be able to listen to things while your phone or iPad is closed. YouTube Premium's the way to go. And no, I'm not getting a kickback for that. So all I'm saying is this space is not going to get any smaller than it is right now, right? Provided there's not a massive worldwide EMP, these servers are going to stay up. And Google, I'm sure, has a plan for YouTube. So entering into this space now is fine. Doing it in any industry is fine, because as long as you're you and you're just kind of giving it to people point blank, then they're going to show up. One of the things on that conversation with Growth Tools, Brian Harris, that he was talking about was he had 100 people on his email list when he got started. And there's a gentleman named Noah Kagan who has another business who brought Brian on, and immediately Brian's product was selling faster. His offer was selling faster and faster. He got a bunch of people in because he was borrowing the audience of 50,000 people. So it doesn't matter when you get started. It doesn't matter the size of your audience. Just keep showing up, creating the content. It's a volume of fire thing. One thing that I've noticed when I talk to other photographers that want to start a podcast or get into this space is they want everything immediately. And it's not going to come immediately. It's just not. I'm under no illusion that these videos are going to take off every single time. I had one video when I started this channel that went viral immediately. And it's almost up to 20,000 views right now. Do you think that changed my world at all? Not in the least, right? Doesn't matter. What matters is being able to provide a consistent voice so that people get to know who you are, right? I follow people on YouTube. You follow people on YouTube that it feels good to watch. For example, in a half an hour from now, I'm going to tune into Brandon Washington. He does this show called The Launchpad on YouTube. Go ahead and check it out. B Wash Media is his name. Go check it out. From the standpoint of a creator, what he's able to bring, the energy, the guests, it's amazing. It's wonderful, wonderful show. And he goes from doing an hour on his channel, and then it transfers directly over to Ecamm's channel, and he does another hour there. And every Monday night, I show up at 7 o'clock. I watch until 9 o'clock, and it's a blast. I'm interacting in the comments with people. It's a lot of fun. Being able to have an audience show up like that comes from nothing but consistency and reality and honesty. So as I get back to my original question, because I'm going by my elbow to get to my ass, when I was talking to Judith, again, the only thing that's missing from her process, her workflow, and being able to create videos online is her. That's it. You have to be able to put yourself out there and just show up as you. You already have an audience. It doesn't mean that everybody that watches your stream is going to click like or click subscribe. Maybe it takes 5 or 10 or 20 videos for them to be like, you know what? this person's consistent. They're showing up all the time. They've got a decent thing to say. Let me subscribe. That's how it builds. Now you're getting people that are really interested in what you're saying, and that audience is truly engaged, right? So the vanity number thing doesn't matter. What you want is an audience that stays engaged with what you put out there. If all you're doing is just sell constantly, people get turned off by that. If you provide value in the content that you're producing, even if it's just like me talking about my experience and some of the thoughts that are in my head and the journey of a photography entrepreneur, whatever that looks like, there's somebody out there that's feeling like they're going through that same thing alone. By providing your voice and your experience and your capabilities and your insights, you reduce that feeling of isolation and loneliness for a lot of other people, whether you know it or not. I can't tell you the number of people that pop up in my DMs or send me an email talking about this exact thing. And especially when I talk about my own mental health, or I talk about some of the challenges financially with being an entrepreneur and the ups and downs and the challenges and all of that. How many people out there are feeling the same thing? And these are people I don't know. These are people that happen upon the video on YouTube or see it on Instagram. But I'd never know that what I was saying was valuable to someone unless they let me know. But I know there's someone out there that will get it. So whether it is talking about a microphone, whether it's talking about challenges that I face, whether it's, trying to give you education about how to do things better or how to stop wasting time doing the things you're doing that are getting you nowhere, that's the kind of conversations that I love having. And I know that because people keep showing up and telling me to have more of those conversations. So that's what I'm doing. That's it. It's that simple. I don't play games with you. I don't play the games of industries, right? I didn't like it in corporate. I didn't like it in the defense industry. I don't like it in the photography industry. There is a game, and if you play it and play it well, it's great. If you don't play it, then you're on the outskirts. It's the way it is. But that's a choice, right? That's everybody's choice. I'm not saying that you have to do it or don't have to do it. Whatever's true to you is fine. But what I want you to understand is that there are no barriers anymore. If you're my age, if you're Gen X, if you're somewhere north of 40, do it. Just start doing something that you're interested in, because when you're interested in it, other people that are interested will find the same thing. They'll find you. You start to build that community. And the community is where it all lives, right? There are so many people right now trying to build islands, right? They're trying to build a Facebook VIP group, or they are trying to build a newsletter audience, which is fine. All of these things are fine. But what you're doing is a one-to-many type of build. You're trying to build a hotel and then hope you get people to come stay in it. And once they're there, you lock all the doors and keep them there so that you can just keep talking to them. What that doesn't do is teach any of those people how to build their own hotel. What I would rather do is stand in front of my hotel and say, I built this. You want to know how? I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to sell you the plans. I'm going to tell you how to do this. And then it's up to you to take that information and do it for yourself. Right? So I'm noticing that we're continually building isolated islands for our audiences, when instead building community in a way that helps others rise up, that helps them solve problems, positions you in a different way instead of being on some messianic complex where you are the peak and everybody else kind of funnels up to you as the person that has to say all the things that they need to know. I never want to be the smartest guy in the room, ever. And rarely am I. But I never want to be the person that has all the answers, because I don't. I'm not perfect. I don't have the answers. I'm learning as I go. I'm figuring out from all my fuck ups what works and what doesn't. But I'm not ashamed to show you that, what works and what doesn't. So rather than start a Facebook VIP group, rather than start my own platform and charge people to do that, or even like a Patreon, right? I have a Patreon, but I don't publicize it because I don't want that. What I want is a group of people that watch this, and then I watch theirs, and they help me, and I help them, and we grow this community together. It was one of the things that I really, really loved about the Portrait Masters was this sense of community, was this feeling that we were all in it together, and we were all leveling up, and we were all creating incredible art, and it was wonderful, and it was beautiful. And then it went away, as most things do, and that's okay. But that void in me, in finding my people, right? Over time, you just kind of drift apart unless you actively keep things going. For me, I would rather have a community that continues to grow and morph and change and get bigger, get smaller, but it's always around the community and the engagement. So that's why I develop content. Sure, I have an ego. Sure, I'd love to see this monetized. Sure, I'd love to just keep getting better so that someday I can be Mr. Beast and give away billions of dollars, right? That's not what I want either. But I understand that in order for me to match the vision that I have of the next 5 to 10 years, all of this has to start happening now, right? None of this is changing me or my life in the next 3 months. But what it is doing is setting me up so that 10 years from now, I'm not saying, I wish I'd started 10 years ago. The way that I said at the beginning of this, I wish I started 25 years ago, right? And if you don't believe me, I have the receipts. I'll bring up the stuff that I was doing 25 years ago. It's awful, but it was there and I did it and I'm good at it and I want to stick with it. So I want to bring you along with me and help you do whatever it is that you do. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I know there are a lot of things about this world that I'm just learning from people that I really respect, from people that I look up to, from people that have nowhere near the experience that I have in the creative world, but they've studied what they've studied and they can fill in the gaps for me the same way I can do that for them, right? What's one of the things that a lot of people see when they're trying to set up a home studio? They don't know how to position lights. They don't know how to do anything like that, right? But if you look at this studio, I have, and I'll kind of raise this up, I've got Home Depot lights that are lighting me. They've just got little, Govee LED RGB bulbs in them. I've got little panel lights. I've got this big light over me. I know how to light people. And the thing about that is it's not all that difficult. I can teach anybody to light. Do you want dramatic? Do you want light and airy? Do you want something that will flatter an older visage? Or do you want something that makes you look a little bit more dark and mysterious? Whatever it is, right? But I can bring that to the community. Being able to light is something I can teach anybody. Being able to live stream is something I can teach. But I don't know enough about network cameras and NDI to be able to teach somebody. But I'm learning, right? From the people that I respect, from the community. That's all I'm trying to get across here. If you go back and watch the podcast that I put out, it was a live stream that I put out talking about what I'm doing going forward, building the podcast network, getting different creatives and different photographers to come together under one umbrella and develop a new style of creative world that is not the photo industry or the video industry. And it's not even the podcast industry, quite frankly. But I do not see anybody, and I could be blind to it, right? So caveat, caveat. I don't see anybody in my circles doing anything different than what's been done by a million people before. And that doesn't push the industry forward. What it does is it creates these roadblocks for other people that think they have to do it that way. And we're not good enough at educating people that it doesn't fucking matter how someone else does it. What feels good to you? What is it that you want? How do you want to run your business? What feels good to you? If someone's pricing doesn't feel good, or someone's methodology or the way they speak to you doesn't feel good, then don't copy that, right? Don't sink your time and energy and effort into something that doesn't feel good to you. Do it in the way that feels right. For me, this feels right, right? I get all geeky. I'm like, oh, let's change the background to blue. Let's do that. Ooh, I can change it to beige. Let's just use a Stream Deck and start changing things. I love being able to play and experiment and create TV shows again. I miss that energy. I miss being able to create live. I miss the fact that you get one shot at it. What I do love is that I'm really not going to edit this. I don't have to go back and cut out the ums and the ahs and the spaces and the repeats and the ways that I mispronounce words or say something a little bit incorrect. I don't care, right? And neither should you. Because over time, that style that you want to develop is going to develop. Over time, the voice that you are, that you can get to, starts by tripping over your own feet time and time again. Right? So, in conclusion, all I wanted to say is that things are changing for me. And if you're out there and things are changing for you, if you're looking at the landscape and you're saying, I don't know how I'm going to survive in this world for the next 5 years, once AI takes over, which it will, what am I doing between now and then to make the future that I see for myself a reality? Because I guarantee you, if you don't start taking those small steps today, even if it's figuring out, all right, I have one shitty light, let me use that. If that's all you got, use what you got. But start doing it. Don't obsess over the details. Don't obsess over perfect. Take it from someone that is a perfectionist, people pleaser with way too much overthinking. Stop being perfect. Just do the thing. Do the thing that makes you feel good. Because if you feel good doing it, if you feel really good and aligned with how you're creating, that makes all the difference to your own satisfaction. None of this feels like pressure to me. I was sitting around at about 5:30 and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll go live. I got some shit on my mind. I'll talk about my day. But maybe there are ways that I can work in a little bit of inspiration for other people that might be struggling. And that's it. That's all I wanted to do. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I see, oh man, Paul, you're late to the party, but watch the replay. You can skip over probably the first 5 minutes or so. I was just kind of rambling, but I'd love if you watch the replay. Thank you. I really appreciate you even showing up and watching me. This is all about community. And Paul's a great example. When I met Paul and the rest of the Ecamm family, something shifted. It was, oh, this is the tribe I need to be part of. Not because I'm like, ooh, they're going to get me rich real quick. What I found were kind, honest, generous people from all different creative disciplines, all focused on one thing, helping each other and growing a community of live streamers and creators where we all succeed. How could you not want to be part of that? If you want to follow someone specific and go all in on that community, do it. I don't care. I'm not going to be there. But I search out groups of people. I search out the King Arthur round table where there's no one person at the head. I just think we all have something to contribute. And I think of YouTube that way as well. We all have something to contribute. And if you're not doing it, then you're doing a disservice to the people that you claim to want to be helping. Right? You're robbing them of your experience. It doesn't have to be polished. You don't have to have 9 lights like I have here. Get one good light. Use a camera. Use your phone. I don't care. But start getting your voice out there because that is the only thing that matters. So if you hung out this long, I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to go grab some food. I've got rice cooking right now. I'm going to get some dinner, and then I'm going to sit and watch Brandon Washington for the next couple of hours from 7 to 9. Again, BWash Media, check it out. It's the launch pad. If you have any interest in cameras, photography, tech, business, I'm telling you, you will be amazed at how quickly 2 hours goes by watching Brandon and the energy that he brings to this show. So that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll see you guys there. Maybe I won't. But please, please, please don't give up on yourself. Please start creating. And if you want, just hit me up in the comments. I'll watch whatever you got. I'll like whatever you got. I'll help you build this thing because you deserve to do what you want to do. And I'm happy to help you get there. That's what community is about. I don't want to take money out of your pocket. What I want to do is help you grow. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll be back maybe tomorrow. I like doing these live streams a little bit impromptu. Once something pops into my head, I want to get it out there. So I may post this. I may just leave it up as is, or I may cut off that first minute and a half where it was just a purple screen as the countdown started. But either way, thank you. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.